Basketball world. Dejounte Murray to New Orleans Pelicans. That's the headline of tonight. I'm going to try a new format tonight. I'm calling it 4D reactions. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments as well so we can open up the discussion on a wider level. Make sure you hit that like button. It helps push the video out. Hit that sub button if you're new. Let's get into this news.
What's the word, y'all? Another domino is falling.
What's the
Dejounte
word?
Murray just got traded to the Pelicans about 2 hours ago. But I'm finally here to record a video. Now, originally, I was out playing some golf and I saw this first tweet. New Orleans has landed this.
Originally, I was out streaming and I was on YouTube and I saw this and I'm like, yo, this happened.
Dejounte Murray to anchor the Pelicans backcourt. And I was like, whoa, that's huge. Because I feel like for the last month or two, everybody had been mocking Dejounte to the Pelicans, but it was more like a win-win thing where it was Brandon Ingram going back to Atlanta. Trae Young has a new running mate in Brandon Ingram, and the Pelicans finally have a real point guard.
That would have been nice. What are y'all thinking? Would Brandon Ingram and Trae Young been a better fit than Dejounte and Trae Young? I mean, you get that size of Brandon Ingram. We get the scoring, of course. But I feel like the defense would have been lacking. You would have definitely needed to put some defenders around that. And to be completely real, I don't know how I feel about Brandon Ingram as a winner. I respect his game, but I don't know if he's like a driving force when it comes to the playoffs.
Stay at that. That's not even what the package is. It is Larry Nance. It is Dyson Daniels. It is a 2025 first-round pick via the Lakers.
Dyson Daniels is nice. He has some nice plays in the playoffs.
Against LeBron James and stuff, his old age, and maybe next year they miss the playoffs completely, and that pick is a little bit more valuable. And then a 2027 first-round pick that is the least favorable of the Bucks and the Pelicans one.
Okay.
So it is not the trade that we mocked up, but it's a trade that we like, man. The Pelicans have been an interesting team, let's say that, because Woj also had this one, and I knew it was.
The Pelicans have been interesting for the past 2 seasons. I've considered them a dark horse team, a team that has the potential to make a deep run. Unfortunately, injuries have derailed them. We lost Zion in the play-in. He didn't get to play in the playoffs this season. Last year, Zion was hurt too. You know, he's their cornerstone. He's their superstar. Playing without your superstar is rough. But with these pieces like CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion, these are big names. The Pelicans should be one of those teams. But for some reason, they're not regarded in the upper echelon of the West.
It was bad. We have made videos about the Pelicans, how they as a team didn't make sense. The fact that they were good, but also awful in the clutch, and also never won fourth quarters. It made 0 sense for them to be a playoff team, but they thugged it out. It also made 0 sense that their starting 5 had a negative net rating, but somehow they made the play. Like, it is a team with a bunch of improbable circumstances that still led to W's, and that was one of the reasons why I really enjoyed watching them play.
I think when it comes to the statistics and all of that, the talent balances it out. You do have a lot of talent on that team. As we said, the 3 names, McCollum, Ingram, Zion. You also got Herb Jones, who I feel like is one of the best low-key two-way players. It ain't even that low-key. If you know, you know. But it's not like his name is thrown around in the media like that.
But Woj said this tweet, because I saw a lot of things, because again, I was a little bit late to the party here, where people were saying, oh, I guess that means that Dejounte Murray's getting traded. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Brandon Ingram's getting traded in a different deal. And that's still possible. But Woj said that the Pelicans are trying to keep Brandon Ingram around. Here's the actual tweet.
I would try to keep him.
0-24 when trailing entering the fourth quarter. 2-14
what? There was that bad?
Murray is a player who can generate offense late in games. Pels remain committed to the core that includes Zion, CJ McCollum, and they're trying to find a common ground with Brandon Ingram on the contract. So it's still possible that Brandon Ingram could get traded, but they're trying to run it out. And whoa, what a pickup, man. Considering the price that you paid, I love it. I still don't know what that lineup looks like, assuming that, let's say they do figure something out with Brandon Ingram, because in my personal opinion, when I looked at the Pelicans going into this offseason, I thought there was no world where Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III weren't the starting wings on this team. And
the fact that they were able to keep Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, this team sounds fire. Seeing that stat just now kind of just blew my mind. 0 for 24 when trailing into the fourth. Like, how? Not one game they can clutch out with the amount of talent on that team is pretty surprising to me.
And if you extend Brandon Ingram here, there's a world where neither of those 2 guys are the starter for the team. I just don't know. I just don't know. Again, this is a good get given the price that you paid. You've been looking for a point guard. You've needed a point guard. And Dejounte Murray is a let's be real, he's a point guard.
He is.
Him in Atlanta, him playing off ball not full time, but him playing off ball just didn't really work out. And it felt as though when Trey...
It wasn't the best fit. I feel like Atlanta picked him up for his defensive prowess, but he wasn't that great of a defender in Atlanta. When I had initially looked into the details of why Atlanta picked up Dejounte Murray, one of the biggest focal points was that he could play defense. He'd be great as a defensive perimeter player alongside Trae Young, who tends to lack in that category. But when it came to the offense, they both did their thing, getting their assists, getting their points, but the team did not elevate to the next level as they were looking to do.
Trae Young went down with his injury, and they really allowed Dejounte to be the point guard. Things looking a little bit better for him specifically. He even had he had a lot of game winners this year, so he helps that with that 0-24 with Trill in the fourth quarter. But you have so many starter quality players. And the Pelicans, I think earlier in the season on a Kenny Beecham podcast, we were ranking teams in their depth. The Pelicans were so high on the list because they had players.
Yes.
Like, Brandon Ingram is
injured. They have cool. Players.
We're going to have Trey Murphy III jump in. CJ McCollum's injured.
Crazy.
Let's have Dyson Daniels start. You have this guy injured. Larry Nance is here to play full-time 5 minutes. They just were a really deep team, and they continue to be that because I don't know what this lineup looks like. It said they're committed to Zion and CJ McCollum as a core. So that means that you're not sitting CJ McCollum to the bench. So does Dejounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Z, and 5-man to be named later? Is it Eve Missy? Is that how you pronounce it? Missy? Is that your 5-man? Because
I don't know who that is.
I don't think they're going to be bringing him back. But that means that Herb Jones.
I don't know who they 5 going to be.
Are delegated to the bench, and Herb Jones, one of the best defensive players in basketball.
I would have put Herb Jones on the bench.
They have a lot of decisions to make, and maybe that does mean that they're going to gear themselves up for a different trade with Brandon Ingram, or maybe they're not getting back now talent, but replenishing some of these draft capital picks. I don't know. It's a worthy bet.
Maybe like a Lauri Markkanen, get a big and Lauri, give away Brandon Ingram, some other assets. Would Utah want that, though?
Just because you desperately needed a point guard. And I remember when they traded for CJ McCollum again, I thought it was a good trade on paper, but it didn't answer a lot of their questions. And CJ did a fine job, an okay job, translating from a full-time 2 to mostly a 1. It just didn't work out. I did enjoy Point Zion, too, but you really needed a guy to get things going. And again, it was one of the worst clutch.
I like Point Zion, too.
Dejounte's a guy that can settle some things down. Let's talk about the other side of this trade for the Atlanta Hawks.
Let's talk about it.
I'm seeing people clown the Atlanta
Hawks
side. I don't hate
clowning on what they say.
Given where the league is, right, and given that we all knew, if you had watched more than 3 games of the Atlanta Hawks this season, you know that they had to make a decision between those 2 guards, right? So you knew, and if we knew at home, then general managers across basketball knew that Dejounte Murray's value wasn't as high because you weren't going to bring both of them back together, right? So I think a lot of people thought that because it wasn't Brandon Ingram, this is an L trade. I don't feel that way. This is a team that traded a bunch of picks to get Dejounte Murray. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the picks they traded away was their own 2025. And the 2024 draft is over and everything. And everybody's shifted gears to 2025. And my God, the way we were talking about 2025 draft class, it's worth having a pick that is a Lakers pick. And
anybody in the college ball right now, please let me know what's going on in the 2025 draft. Is they're a highly touted player. Wait, is it Cooper Flagg? Is that who it is?
Real. The Lakers still have LeBron. They still have Anthony Davis. It's probably not.
Let me know in the comments.
Overall pick in this draft, but it's still a pick to attach yourself to for 2025. Dyson Daniels is a worthy bet. He's not much on offense, other than him being a positive passer. He's not much on offense. But if you've been watching, he is one of my favorite defensive players in basketball.
If I'm not mistaken, Dyson Daniels was knocking down threes. I actually looked it up just now. I was wrong. No, he's not.
He's going to get deflections out of this world, and I think Atlanta Hawks fans are going to like him.
Now,
this is kind of like
who's the hell on the Pelicans knocking down threes?
Especially like this is a new regime for Atlanta, right? This is a new regime.
Someone coming off the bench knocking threes.
Landry
crazy.
Fields making these decisions. He made a decision yesterday trading AJ Griffin for the 40-something overall pick in his class. He's obviously trying to shape the roster to his liking. But I think this can be an addition by subtraction type of thing. Again, you're obviously losing a lot of talent with Dejounte Murray going out of the door. But
that makes sense,
I don't hate this. This gears you up from a couple different options.
Addition by subtraction makes sense.
Trae Young and try to build a team around him. If that's not working in February, you just replenish 2 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray, and you can also get more first-round picks for Trae Young. So this is not one of them trades where I'm immediately looking like, oh my God, this team's super finessed. because there was no leverage from one of the teams.
Makes sense.
Like,
makes sense.
We have to continue to think about that. Like,
I agree.
A true talent for talent trade, objectively, the Atlanta Hawks lost the trade. Talent for talent. But that's not what trades are in basketball all of the time.
But they balanced it out with the picks.
2 first-round picks for a guy that you knew you weren't going to bring back. I feel like that's a win. I don't know exactly what the starting lineup looks like for Atlanta. This means that you're pairing Dyson Daniels with Trae Young in the backcourt, because I think it could work out if it's a big if you feel like Dyson can develop his three-point shot a little bit more, but having an offensive mind.
Well, what about their first-round pick? He's a guard, right? The French dude.
To play alongside Trae Young in the backcourt makes a ton of sense to me. I think it will be looked at a little bit differently.
Zachary.
Like the first overall pick in this draft was somebody that everybody was in love with, because then you look at the Atlanta Hawks core and you're like, okay, like, yeah, Trae Young is still a young player. Trae Young is still a young player. I know that it don't feel that way because he's been in our lives for a long time and he had a conference finals appearance at once upon a time. He is still a young player. It's just more a matter of fact for him. True. Is he okay and willing to maybe have a season or two where the team is not competing for playoff spots?
I feel like he wants to win now. The last
couple seasons feels like.
That's what they say.
So take a small step back with the idea of redoing the team around Trae Young, or again making a decision down the line that Trae Young is not the guy you want to build around. If I'm grading this trade for the Pelicans based on today, I'm giving it like a smooth A, not an A+, but a.
I'm feeling that, and I agree. I would give the Pelicans an A because Dejounte Murray is definitely an asset talent-wise. I feel like he's going to mesh in. He can mesh in on any team. Like, of course, it might have not been the most perfect fit with him and Trae, but I don't think it was the worst.
Smooth A, because I do believe they still have more decisions to make on who's starting or who's staying. And for the Atlanta Hawks, maybe it's a C+. Like, it's above passing grade for me personally.
Atlanta, I'm probably leaning towards. They got assets. They got Larry Nance and they got Dyson Daniels. Where does Larry Nance fit on the Hawks for real? They got Clint Capella, right? Does Nance start, or is he going to come off the bench? He can throw down them lobs. That's one thing about Larry Nance Jr. He going to throw down them lobs that Trae throws up. So there's that.
Maybe I'm just a big Dyson Daniels fan. Maybe that's really what it is. But I don't hate this as much as what seems like the consensus is on Twitter.
I don't think Atlanta got fleeced.
Good trade. Fun
Definitely
trade.
not.
Trade. I feel like there's more dominoes to fall. Everybody keeps talking about what's going on with Paul George in the next 48 hours. So once Paul George makes his decision, I feel like a lot of
George, that's going to be
what's happening with
that's going to be something. Might be the most major headline of this off-season, summer draft, post-draft.
There's so many wings out there that maybe won't help you go over the top, but people are going to be interested in. And once PG is making that decision, then it is what it is. Trying to think about if there are any other wrinklings in this trade that's worth talking about. Not really. All right, we'll just leave it at that.
Good, Kelly.
Again, I hold the right to change my opinion about trade.
Yes, sir.
But right now, it's a fun one.
There's that. That was a good talk, Kenny. Let me get back to Spa World, man. Spa World. Guys, I would love to hear what y'all think about this trade in totality. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what y'all thought about the 4D reaction. There's a lot of people that make great basketball content on YouTube, and I feel like this is a good way for me to just indulge in that content and also give you guys my perspective and hear from y'all as well. Let me know. I would love to hear from y'all. Make sure you hit that like button if you made it this far. Hit that sub button if you're new. See you next video.